Good morning. Welcome to the Superstars Wax Museum 2024. We are so glad you're here. I know you will enjoy this show.
I blazed the trail, but the next step took to you to save our planet. Greetings, my name is Jane Goodall. I was born in 1934 in London, England. When I was a little girl, my father gave me his toy, chimpanzee I named Jubilee. My entire childhood, I loved nature. My dream was to work with animals. My dream came true when I moved to Africa as a young woman. A friend offered me a job working to learn about chimpanzees on Gombe Reserve. I dressed in beige clothing like this to blend in with nature. But it took months for the chimpanzees to let me get close enough to see them. David Greybeard was my favorite chimpanzee with his silvery hair and large eyes. He was very calm and he was the first chimp who accepted me. He taught me a lot about chimpanzees that no one knew before. I saw them eating a wild pig one day, which proved chimpanzees are omnivores instead of herbivores. Another amazing thing I learned was that chimpanzees can make tools. I saw David Greybeard using a twig to fish out termites from a termite nest. Until that point, scientists thought that humans were the only animals able to make tools. I wrote about my findings in National Geographic magazine articles and several books to share my love of chimpanzees with the world. Cambridge University even invited me to finish college, and I became Dr. Jane Goodall in 1965. I spent less and less time in Gombe Reserve as I became more famous. But I still live in Africa. I travel 300 days a year to teach people about saving the environment and chimpanzees, and recently celebrated my 90th birthday. It all began with a toy chimpanzee named Jubilee and a dream. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Tom Brady. I'm the greatest quarterback of all time due to my drive to be the best. I was taken 199th and selected in the draft of 2000. In game 2 of my second year, I became the starter quarterback and won the Super Bowl. In the first game of 2008, I hurt my knee really bad and didn't think I would come back. I, Tom Brady, played into my 40s and set many NFL records that will never be broken. Thank you for listening.
I was born on March 15, 1943 in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in an immigrant family, an Jewish immigrant family. When I was 12, I saw a sign that said, "No dogs or Jews allowed." Because of this, I went to law school. I graduated the top of my class. I had a hard time finding a job because I am a woman and a mother. I became a lawyer to defend the rights of both women and men for equal rights for both. In 1993, I became the Supreme Court judge. I make it my mission to tackle big cases that have impact across the country. I use my collars to send different messages. My white lace collar means I'm telling the people I agree with the winning side. My black beaded collar means I disagree. My gold color means I will announce the majority opinion. I am dedicated to making the better lives of those less fortunate. My belief is that we can all make a difference, not for yourself, but for your community. Thank you for listening. Court dismissed.
Hi, my name is Blackbeard. I want to tell you a story about my life. I was born in Bristol, England. People don't really know my name, but they call me either Teach, Tatch, or Tack. I fought in Queen Anne's War as a privateer. After the war ended, the King of England prohibited privateering, and that is how I became a pirate. I have an excellent strategy to capture ships. I captured many ships, including the Queen Anne's Revenge. My boldest move is when I blockaded Charleston, South Carolina, demanding for food and money. After becoming famous for capturing ships, the King of England sent Lieutenant Maynard to hunt me. In 1718, I was killed by Maynard off the coast of North Carolina. This is the story of my life. But I heard there's some treasure around here. I already have some, and I want more.
Thank you. Do you smell what the rock is cooking? Now let me, as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, tell you a little bit about myself. I was born on May 2nd, 1972 in Hayward, California. I was born into awesomeness because of my dad, Rocky Johnson, was also a professional wrestler. He taught me the family business and everything I know. But before I started my wrestling career, I had dreams of playing football in the NFL. I played for the University of Miami and led the Hurricanes to many victories. After college, I was never drafted to the NFL. That's when I turned to wrestling. My first WWF name was Rocky Maivia in 1996. Then in 1997, I had a match against Stone Cold Steve Austin. I ended the match by saying, "Your bottom line will say Stone Cold has been. Compliments of The Rock." And that's how I became known as The Rock. My fans also call me the People's Champion. My top 3 moves were Samoan Drop, Rock Bottom, and the People's Elbow. After 8 years of wrestling, I decided to become a movie star. But I do come back to the ring from time to time and wrestle for my fans against people like John Cena, CM Punk, and Batista. My first movie role was The Mummy Returns. My character was the Scorpion King. I did so well I was able to get my own movie, The Scorpion King. Since then, I became one of the most highest paid actors in Hollywood for movies such as Fast and the Furious, Jumanji, Rampage, Black Adam, Jungle Cruise, and Moana. And get this, I'm not just strong, I'm also super kind. I help lots of people and always have a smile on my face. I like teaming up with organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So my friends, always remember to be strong, be kind, be brave, and never give up. And if anyone ever tries to tell you that you can't do something, just tell them, just bring it. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Hi, my name is Mia Earhart. I was the first woman aviator to attempt to fly the longest route around the world. I was born at my grandmother's house in Atchison, Kansas on July 24th, 1897. I wanted to be an aviator since the summer before 8th grade when I went to the Iowa State Fair. Here I saw my first airplane. When I was a teenager, my parents split up because my father became an alcoholic. This made me more independent because I had to learn how to take care of myself. In 1920, I went to Long Beach, California. Here I saw my first air show. The pilots were doing loops in the air and standing on top of the wings of the planes and jumping from plane to plane. This made me want to be an aviator even more. 3 days later, I went to Rogers Field. Here I took my first flight. As soon as the plane rose into the air, I was hooked. I knew I had to fly. The flight was 10 minutes long. At the time, women couldn't do what men could do, like be a lawyer or a pilot. 1 year later, I got my pilot's license. In the rest of my life, I encouraged girls to be whoever they wanted to be. I couldn't afford to pay for my plane, so I bought a bright yellow convertible sports car, just like my plane was. In 1928, Sam Chapman asked me to marry him. I said no because he would want me to give up flying or my job and stay home and have kids. I didn't want to do that. And then I met George Putnam, a publisher. He asked me if I wanted to be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. I said yes, and I told my friend, whenever someone asks for adventure, the answer is always yes. And on June 18th, 1928, I was the first female to fly across the Atlantic. But I was just a passenger because they wouldn't let me because I was a woman. But when I returned, I was famous worldwide. I met lots of famous people. One of my best friends, Eleanor Roosevelt, wanted to learn how to fly. But her husband, President Roosevelt, said no. During the Great Depression, it was hard. People lost money and jobs. So it was a hard time. And it was a very hard time. That's why I started the New York, Philadelphia, and Washington Airway. And it was my job to convince people to learn to fly. Soon, flying became popular. In 1931, George Putnam asked me to marry him. I said yes, because he encouraged me to fly and work. He wasn't going to make me give it up. I wrote a letter to President Roosevelt, and he agreed to build me an airstrip on Howland Island so I could land. My route was supposed to go from Hawaii to the west and back to California. In 1937, my plane crashed. I had to change the route to going east. From California to Miami to South America, Africa, Asia, and then to Australia. In New Guinea, we planned to take the longest part of my trip, over the Pacific to Howland Island. Howland Island is very small and hard to find. On July 2nd, 1937, I was radioing that I was lost and couldn't find Howland Island. Coast Guards were trying to radio me, but I couldn't hear them. No one knows what happened to me, where I am, or if I survived. When George Putnam asked me why I wanted to fly across the Atlantic, I said, why does a man want to ride a horse? Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Maria von Trapp. I was born on a train headed to Vienna, Austria on January 26, 1905. I was raised by my father's cousins. After living a lonesome and rebellious childhood, I found God's purpose for my life in college. I wanted to become a nun. At the Abbey, I was sent to care for the Von Trapp kids. I married Captain Baron Von Trapp on November 26, 1927. I taught the children music and singing. The family and I had to escape Austria due to World War II. We had to build a new life in the U.S. The movie The Sound of Music is based on our life together. I traveled the world with my family singing professionally. Thank you for listening. And I want to leave you with a song that I used to sing. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, you look happy to greet me. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
My name is Anne Frank. I died at a concentration camp in 1945 at age 15. I loved my diary named Kitty. I wrote in my diary to pass the time. I named my diary Kitty because I loved cats. I wrote in my diary to pass the time. I wrote in Kitty every day so people could see what it is like to be a Jewish girl during World War II. I was born on June 12, 1929 in Germany. It all started when my sister got a notice to be sent to a concentration camp in Germany. We were in Amsterdam.
My family had to hide in a secret annex, which was above my dad's business. The annex was very small. I had to rely on the helpers for food and water. We had to be quiet all day and night. We lived like this for 2 years. We got caught because someone betrayed us. Me and my family got sent to different concentration camps. Me and my sister were sent to the same concentration camp in Poland where we died of typhus. I famously said, in spite of everything, I still think people are really good at heart. Thank you for listening.
Some people say that I was the most beautiful woman ever to have lived. My name is Cleopatra and I am beautiful. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt in 69 BC. That is over 2,000 years ago. I was a powerful ruler of ancient Egypt. I first took the throne when I was 18 years old. My family was very dangerous and we fought all the time for more power and money. My famous friends Julius Caesar and Mark Antony always helped me keep me in power. When I died at 39 years old, I was the richest person in the world. I contributed many books to the Great Library of Alexandria. I was such an important person in books, movies, and TV shows are still made about me today. Thank you for listening.
Has anyone seen Star Wars? Well, I came up with the idea when I was very young. My name is George Lucas. I was born on May 14th, 1944 in Modesto, California. I loved listening to the radio and I loved cars. My dream was to be a drag racer until I was in a terrible car accident. And then I decided to go to film school and started my first film company at just 23 years old. Just 23 years. My first movie, THX 1138, didn't do well when my company shut down. 6 years later, my favorite project, Star Wars, was released. It was about space and these cool characters. And the sounds and effects changed movies forever. What? Chewbacca's voice. Do you know how Chewbacca's voice was made? It was angry walruses, camels, and lions mixed together. I didn't think my film would do well, but it was an enormous success. And then 10 years later, I sold Lucasfilms to Disney for $4 billion. Now I spend time with my wife and my 4 kids at Skywalker Ranch, my happy place. I don't know what I will do next, but I know the Force will always be with me. Thank you.
My name, horse driver. Why I'm not in my boss's shop wiping the windows. You're just lying again. Stop playing video games. Ah, who are you guys? I'm just screaming again. You guys are real?
Oh, my name is Charles, and my horse driver time traveled me to the wrong time again. First, we went to Leonardo da Vinci's time. We helped him test out his big bird with wings. Then he crashed. He went to the hospital. Then we went back to J.K. Rowling's time. My horse driver, we helped her make some books of Harry Potter. But then suddenly my horse driver tripped and pushed J.K. Rowling into the grand pool. Well, it wasn't a grand pool. It was just a little cold pool. She got a cold anyway. Back to my presentation. My horse driver told me not to tell anybody, but he's a very naughty horse today. So I'm gonna tell you everything. He just say, "Don't you dare." Never mind. I made a movie in 1927. It was a total success, but I experienced shoulder pain for carrying the gun and shoulder arms. After that, I started making films shorter, but with more humor. The style attracted more people. So, I started as a stage performer. I made a very famous character, the Little Tramp. I became famous during 1910 and 1920. Now I've talked about myself. Now I'm gonna talk about the kids I'm gonna have in the future. Maybe. My host driver told me about them. 1990 and 1990 was a very sad time for me and my first wife because our first son died the same year, Norman. 1926 and 1960, whatever. My horse driver's not a good of saying numbers. Spencer Chaplin followed my footsteps in making funny films. And I need a carrot for my horse driver. It will act as a ticket for my horse driver. I haven't paid him anything today. Does anybody have a carrot? No. What's in my hat? Oh, there's a carrot in my hat. It will work great as my ticket. I think I accidentally tripped over some carrots yesterday, and I guess one falls into my hat. Good thing. Now, keep creative and inspire others.
I told my life through storytelling by writing the Little House books. Hi, my name is Lola Ingalls. I was born on February 7, 1867, by the big woods of Pepin, Wisconsin. My family moved out west and lived in many places. We moved to Indian Territory in Kansas, and then back to Wisconsin by covered wagon. My family moved to Walnut Grove, Minnesota, and then to Bald Oak, Iowa. Finally, we moved to Des Moines in Dakota Territory by train. Next, I became a teacher far from home, and I could only go home on the weekends. A local hero named Almanzo Wilder took me back and forth. We married a few years later and had a child named Rose. Much happened our first few years together. Fire destroyed our home, hail and drought ruined our crops, and almost left Almanzo with a limp for the rest of his life. Last, I became a writer and became famous for writing children's books. I wrote 8 books about my life and 1 about Almanzo's. Sadly, I died on February 10, 1957 at age 19. I taught many kids what life was like living on the prairie with stories of my childhood. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Michelle Obama. I was born January 17th, 1964 in Chicago, Illinois. I am married to Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States. So do you know what that makes me? I am the first African American First Lady. Before all that, I was just a young girl who attended public school. I had to work really hard to get into Princeton University. Then I graduated Harvard Law School in 1988. I loved helping people and communities. I was the director of AmeriCorps program to prepare youth for public services. I promoted volunteerism at the University of Chicago Hospitals. As First Lady, I continue to support communities and inspire youth. Then I launched What's New, which focuses on childhood obesity and promotes healthier food in schools, making healthier choices for kids' dinners, and making kids have more worldwide exercise. I planted a vegetable garden on the south side of the White House, and I create behind the White House to promote healthier eating and exercise. Joe Biden and me started joining. Joe Biden and me started joining forces together to promote military families, veterans build their career and go to school. As you can see, I am more than just a first lady. I'm a mother, a lawyer, a community activist, and a role model for young people everywhere. Thank you for listening to my stories.
Do you know who became richer than the Queen of England? I did. I'm J.K. Rowling. And I wrote the Harry Potter books. I was born on July 31st, 1965 at Yates General Hospital in England. My book series became very successful, but not everyone believed in it at first. People in the U.S. tried to keep my books out of schools. The publishers even asked me to change my name from Joe to J.K. so that boys would read my books. My first book was published in 1997. Then in 2001, my books were turned into a movie. The movie was a hit. I have a big imagination and never gave up on my dreams. Now my books and movies are some of the most popular for people to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. And stay magical.
Hi, my name is Sacagawea, and I'm a Shoshone Indian. People also call me Bird Woman. I helped Lewis and Clark explore the New World, and together we found Oregon and Washington. During the expedition, I was the interpreter, and I talked to the other Indian tribes. During the expedition, we had to trade for food and horses and find water. Lewis made me trade my beautiful blue bell for a coat for him. That made me unhappy. I was only Indian on the expedition, except for my son Pomp. I carried Pomp on my back the entire time. Lewis and Clark and the explorers and all the explorers loved Pomp. When we were done with the expedition, I wanted to go home to what is now Idaho. I lived there with my husband and Pomp until we moved to St. Louis to be closer to Clark. I died in St. Louis while giving birth to a baby girl, Lizette. I was only 20 years old when I died. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Anywhere I see suffering, that is where I want to be, doing what I can. Hi, I'm Princess Diana, known as the People's Princess because I love to help others. I was born on July 1st, 1961 in England. Before I married Prince Charles and became royalty, I was an assistant teacher. I enjoyed working with children. I had two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. My charity work for the sick and the poor was very important to me. I visited AIDS and leprosy patients to bring public awareness. I also raised money for cancer research and the homeless. My work in Angola, Africa helped to lead a ban on landmines in many countries. Sadly, I died at the age of 36 in Paris, France during a tragic car accident. But hopefully I helped to create a monarchy that had more contact with its people. Thank you.
22nd, 1962 in Upper Ferntree Gully, Victoria, Australia. I grew up loving all wildlife, and when I was young, my parents opened a reptile park. When I was only 8, I wrestled my first crocodile. As I got older, I was asked to be on TV. After that, I ran Australia Zoo with my family and rescued over 90,000 animals. Crikey, that was a lot. Sometimes I got myself into dangerous situations. One time I had to scramble up a tree to get away from a Komodo dragon who got one of his teeth stuck in my boot. I also discovered a snapping turtle that's named after me. It's called the Irwin's turtle. My passion left a lasting impact on the world. I always said if we can excite people about wildlife, they will want to save it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Please join us after these presentations for Wax Museum Celebration with our other second grade class. They will be joining us shortly. We are going to take individual and class photos before the celebration.